So then we quickly, with using our in-house CNC machine, made the waveguide out of wood, put in the driver, measured it. And we saw that, yeah, not bad. From 5,000 hertz to 20,000 is actually quite good, but under between 5,000 and down to 900 hertz, we wanted to do a little bit more. So then he made some tweaks, and once again simulated and came up with a new waveguide. And that second prototype we did was the waveguide that went into the QT, right? That's the one we just have here. It's huge. We also have a smaller loudspeaker called the QS, where a huge waveguide wouldn't work. So, by coincidence, the small one is exactly the same size as the original waveguide from the factory. So we're utilizing that one because 5,000 to 20,000, it performs equally well, and it's much better than the original one, right? So out of this, we get, you know, the best of everything, best of both worlds. We do have a little bit more time, so I'm going to do some key takeaways, and then I want to briefly talk a little bit more about dipole speakers, because that's pretty interesting to know. So key takeaways would be radiation patterns. They are really, really important and can't be changed. You can't fix them in the crossover, you can't fix them with DSP, right? It is what it is when you design the loudspeaker. And you don't want to have an omnidirectional bass, a card with mid-range and a beaming tweeter, because that's going to be complicated for your brain to put together. Avoid nonlinear distortion whenever possible, right? Know where to crossover. Crossover where the ear is not so good as positioning left to right, where the system changes, right?
Yes, I do.
Understand the room interactions, and of course use high quality components and cabling. And that leaves me with just a few minutes to talk about dipole. A monopole, a traditional subwoofer or a large floor standing speaker, are pressure generators. And that pressure generates movement of the air, and then the movement of the air is coming into the ear and is then transits into signals for your brain. So if we look at a sinus curve, we could say that they work at the top or the bottom, whatever, and by pressure pulls the curve up and pushes it down. And this loads the room with a lot of energy. The dipole loudspeaker is working in the zero crossover here, right? When it goes from positive to negative. It's a speed generator. So it generates movement of the air instead of sound pressure. So therefore it energizes the room way less. It actually has 1 cubic root less problems. So if you have, and also it does one more thing, it reverses. If it's a peak with a monopole, it's a valley with a dipole. If it's a valley with a monopole, it's a peak with a dipole. But a 27 decibel peak would, with a monopole, would with a dipole be the -3 dB valley, or vice versa. So dipoles are infinitely much more easier to place in a room, right? Below the Schroeder frequency, my dipole subwoofer, is it dipole or is it something else? Omnidirectional, right? But it works well because omnidirectional bounces everywhere, dipole bounces not so much exactly on the side from the speaker, but it still bounces on the side walls, behind the speaker, side walls, and behind the listening position. So then brain can combine them quite good together.